and you've got like them like they're like necking. It's like, oh come on, baby, just this one time.
Except they're
But of
just
course,
fucking yelling. Have you ever been in a
yeah,
small plane? Because it's so
no, that's what
fucking loud.
I have been in. I've been in a single engine aircraft, but
Yeah.
I was in a Cessna, which has a roof, where biplanes don't. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Where they're like
Yeah.
sitting in the back and like. Lore Boys here, exactly how you remembered us, except we look and sound different and are totally different people, and the show isn't called Lore Boys. I am your pilot, Peter O'Donohue, and I am joined by...
James Miller and cricket, cricket, cricket.
oh no! We're down a man. We're down one of our wingmen.
Which one? I remember you. You're Peter, and I'm
Yeah?
I'm James. Who are we missing?
Yeah, I guess I misremembered. I guess we're not missing anybody. It's always just been... We've always been a hot pair.
I think so. Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
No need to linger. So, today's request for Ace Combat comes from patron David, last name withheld, along with dirty freeloading peasant president, dirty freeloading president Joe Biden. Brandon sent in requests for Ace Combat lore. No, Commodore Schneet. Maybe one day. She actually requested this today as well, which was very good timing. And since we delayed the recording, it's honestly even better timing, because normally that would have come in after the fact, and then you would just have to have been surprised and like, oh my god, they read my letters on Wednesday.
Yep, Commodore Shani. I was going to guess for sure that she would like this one. She's all about them boats and planes, right?
Yeah, boats and hoes. If hoes were planes.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe one day we'll all join David, last name withheld, at Mecca, which is what we call our patron, just like Stephen Hicks did this week. So big ups and thank you to Stephen and all our patrons. We love you all. So, Jibo, you ever played Ace Combat? You ever know what the fuck I'm talking about?
So I'm trying to. I know it's a plane game. I'm trying to remember if it's like POV from the cockpit flying game, or if it's one of those like bullet hell shooters where you're like the helicopter game that I had on the original Nintendo.
It's neither. You actually skipped the one that it is. It's, from what I saw at least, it's a third person like arcade fighter jet game.
Okay.
So you have like the cameras, I don't know, like 10, 15 feet behind the jet.
Yeah, over the shoulder if wings were shoulders.
Of course, yes.
Okay. Got it. Because if planes were hose and their wings were shoulders, then it would be third person. Okay.
Wings are to shoulders as planes are to hose. Yes. I believe it's the same.
Yeah.
I have definitely played one of these. The Ace Combat games. There's like a lot of Japanese games. There's like 19 of them or something. It's a very, from what I saw, definitely something. It's a blockbuster game. It's you're 12. It's Friday night, and you want to drink Pepsi until your teeth hurt with the lads, basically. And it's like the perfect game for something like that.
Nice.
The latest one came out in like 2016, I want to say. It's it looks great. There was a fighter jet game on Game Pass, and after writing this episode, I was like, oh, maybe I'll pick that up. I'm in I was playing Battlefield because I was in like a oorah kind of mood, and then I did this, and I was like, now I'm in a like jet fighter kind of mood. I'm like, okay, cool. I've been very suggestible these days.
Okay. It looks like fun. I something I've been interested in playing too is the plane flight simulator, where you just take an actual like 747 and just fly it from Austin to Hawaii or whatever the fuck you do. Yeah.
I at some point, I think one of the first things I played on Game Pass was Flight Simulator.
Okay.
And I was just making it's like 40 minutes to practice. I was doing the flight Montreal, Ottawa, Ottawa, Montreal, Montreal, Ottawa. I did it a bunch of times.
Okay.
And then I did some of like the I don't know, like the tourism mode or whatever. I flew around Alaska as well. It uses like Bing Maps, so like everything's super accurate.
Oh, wow.
And I never managed to land. I can take off; it's not so bad. But I could never fucking land.
Oh man.
and I had to use a combination of like my PS4 controller and my keyboard to control the plane. That's probably the reason where I'm using two disparate. Because that's a like my dad loves Flight Simulator. He's not a gamer at all.
Yeah.
But just like whatever, just like dads in Germany love Farming Simulator.
Well,
My dad's a flight.
Yeah, that's like a common thing. I feel like an older man to have a Flight Simulator set up and like a Steam account only for this game. Or
Exactly.
Yeah.
My dad bought it on the Microsoft Store. Like he owns a digital copy of Flight Simulator.
Right.
But because his like country ass internet is so slow, he got to play it for like a month, and then there was like a 17 gig update to add more planes, and he just never downloaded it. I know, but he has like a really nice joystick for it as well. He really does. He really did. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Pandemic, I got money to burn. Like homeboy was. He's just like, I'm finally gonna play the new Flight Simulator because there was a free demo and he liked it, and then ended up buying himself a legit copy of the newest one. And it is like, it's very zen.
Yeah.
Except when you need to land and then everybody in your plane dies.
Speaking on that, I saw a streamer at an event that like, we're gonna play this game, but we're like role playing it. So if I crash the plane, everyone who's in chat, I'm gonna ban you because you officially died in the stream. So basically, people are watching, just cheering for him to crash so they can get banned from his channel.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
No, Ace Combat's not that hard. It's much more of an arcade game. It has two modes. One of them is more authentic and one of them is more arcadey.
Okay.
So like depending on how hardcore on Tabernac you are with your I'd assume if Commodore plays this, she definitely plays on the legit mode. Or like anybody that has a passing fancy with the military, definitely.
Right.
But yeah, it looks great. It's nonsense game though. Like it's the story is wild. I definitely see why people wanted us to cover this one.
There's lore. Yeah, I guess we're covering it, so there must be.
Yeah, exactly. No, I didn't just bring you all here today on your forklifts so I could tell you about my dad playing Flight Simulator. So Ace Combat takes place in a timeline similar to our own called Strange Reel. The intent behind this was to let the developers over at Bandai Namco, the people who make it, in Japan, to tell a familiar feeling modern war story, but with a few like weeaboo embellishments in it, because there is like some nonsense. So like there's a lot of like concept aircraft you can find out there that are like too big to ever fly, like flying fortresses and shit like that, right?
Cool.
Or giant air bases. All that shit's like in Ace Combat. They're just like, just because the laws of normal real Earth physics don't allow this thing to exist. In Strange Reel, it totally works.
Cool.
The best way I saw it described, like officially, is that Strange Reel is almost identical to our real universe, but its version of Earth, it features entirely different land masses and historical events.
I thought Strange Reel was gonna be like a different version of Israel, or like isn't real, you know? Okay, it's just a whole.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, no, Strange Reel, they do have a bunch of fake sounding countries, which we will go through. But no, the wackiest Jews do not come from Strange Reel.
Okay. I thought it'd be like a fun event for the city. Okay. No.
Yeah, no, that's where we get all our stand-up comedians, right? Is from Strange Reel.
And our soda streams, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's where I got my soda stream, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I love the description of it being just like, oh yeah, it's like almost identical, except everything about Earth is different. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, by that logic, Jupiter is the same as is like almost identical to Earth, except it has different land masses in history, right? Like it's a goofy explanation. I might fuck this guy's name up. I'm sorry. Kazutoki Kono, the lead on Ace Combat 7, which I believe is the newest one. Said that the team had coined the term Strange Reel during development of Ace Combat 4 using improper English. So they didn't have a Japanese term for it. They just used like a broken English to create a silly word. Okay. And that is like officially it.
Okay.
They thought it was funny. They liked it. And then since Ace Combat 4, they've retconned the previous games into Strange Reel, and then everything following that obviously is all the same historical events, but they did retcon the previous games to 4, which could have been 3 games, could have been 17, knowing Japanese games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what order they came out in.
Yeah.
So I did provide you with a map, if you want to open the first spoiler image. And you can... What have you done?
If I'm looking at the map, who's driving this plane? Look at that.
Me with my keyboard and my PlayStation controller.
Okay, cool.
I'll kill us both. Don't worry about it.
All right, so we got a place called Wello.
Yeah, so I circled some familiar looking places because they definitely did take like Earthland masses and kind of change their sizes and move them around. It looks like there's more continents. There's more general landmass, I think, on this map than on planet Earth.
Yeah.
But yeah. But they definitely looked at like what our continents look like and moved them around. So in the orange circle, you can see, like I added on the thing there, you can see this part of the map looks like it kind of looks like the top of Europe, like the Scandinavian countries, but kind of melted a little bit.
Yeah.
Europe has like a dog head on it.
It looks like someone did a puzzle of like a map of our Earth, but just put the pieces in different places. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like you have some really noticeable small chunks, but then others that just make no sense compared to our normal world. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and also like they do like in canon because the continents are different. The weather and the climate is different on Strange Real Earth as well. So they did go that far as to explain.
Cool.
In the red circles, you can see Greenland and Iceland are completely unchanged, and they're in the exact same spot. As well as, I think it's called Baffin Island in northern Canada. It's the little upside down, again, it's like the little upside down dog part of Nunavut.
Okay.
Yeah. Further down, the green circle is just the Iberian Peninsula. So it looks like half of France, and then Spain and Portugal. And then
Is that just Italy next to Antarctica, or what is that?
No, that's an unedited New Zealand.
Unedited New Zealand.
It's just in the blue circle. It's just part of Antarctica now.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and Antarctica is also the same. Yeah, sorry. The map, it looks kind of cool. It kind of comes off as very goofy because some of the country names are very stupid. Like Recta and Ratio are both countries on this map, right?
Yeah.
And also, like the vast majority of the countries on the map all end in a vowel, generally an A. So it gives off a very Eastern European vibe. So like Serbia, Georgia, Latvia, Russia, Lithuania, like that sort of thing.
Yuktobania.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a bunch of very other like Yuktobania, Ameria, Estovakia. There's a country called Nordland that is not even the northernmost point of the continent it's on. It's like it's the East Coast.
Nordnavica.
Yeah, and a lot of the characters' names as well are all distinctly European sounding. It really gives a vibe that the Strange Real Earth is just like a off-brand European monoculture, and not even all of Europe. Like there are no Spanish names or like a Greek name or an Italian name.
Right.
On the calendar, just in 1965, which is the year I chose to look at, you see the births of Fink, Link, Remmer, Bremer, Thorben, Newman, Schmidt, and Schmidt, but spelled differently. Like, everybody has very similar names.
What do you mean Schmidt and Schmidt and the other one's out there?
Schmidt, Schmitt, and Schmidt.
All right.
I'd love if these two guys, I didn't look up like what these characters look like or even their official images. I would love if these guys looked exactly the same, except like one guy had a mustache that looked exactly like the other guy's eyebrows. just like that part of their faces were swapped.
Yeah. Or one had no D, because one actually has no D in the name, and then the other one could have no.
That's true.
No penis.
Maybe that's part of the plot. Maybe that kicks off a war.
Saying penis is always funny. It reminds me of the guy who stole the fine succulent Chinese meal. And he gets thrown into a taxi.
This is the state of democracy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This man touched my penis.
That guy's arrest definitely would have caused some political instability. Within Strange Real, political stability is a completely imaginary thing. It appears as though some guy getting arrested while ordering a succulent Chinese meal would absolutely destabilize multiple countries for decades. It's wild. Now, all the similarities with the names and whatnot, and the countries all kind of having a theme, is probably because a Japanese team of writers only have a certain amount of knowledge about the outside world, in the same way that when Westerners write a Japanese story, the explanation is just like a samurai did it, right? Despite the fact there's like millennia of history there.
Yeah. The Last Samurai. I'm trying to think of anything, and that's the only thing I can think of is Last Samurai.
Yeah, see?
Sake! And
Oh yeah, that's true because he's an alcoholic, right?
yeah. That's I'm not saying you're an alcoholic, but there's a couple nights in October where you were locked in a room calling for sake, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you didn't and you didn't give me any, so thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
You contributed to the 5 pounds that I lost in October. So, our first aces to see combat within this one here would have been during the Osean War between 1905 and 1910. This was the first conflict in Strange World where aircraft were used, and it was fought between the nations of Osea and Belka. Okay?
Okay.
I don't expect you to follow the names of these countries because we do get into a point where some of them, there's like an Usea, an Isea, and an Osea, and they're all different people. So just
I'm just interested in what you say, Peter. Don't worry.
Aw. That's a good one. So consulting our map, we can see that Osea is most of the continent that it is on, and Belko looks like it could be like crossed on horseback in about 5 hours. The Belkans, though, had figured out the flying machine. Okay, so they had it, despite they had a small, scrappy country, and they got their wings on.
Whoa.
This is a little bit ahead of real history. The Wright brothers' first powered flight in our normal real timeline was in December 1903, and it lasted only 12 seconds, which I think is pretty good. Like a lot of innovators get nervous on their first invention, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Hold your breath
I don't
for
know.
2 minutes. How long is 2 minutes now? Yeah.
I don't know when the Belkin equivalent of the Wright brothers got their first 12 seconds off, but if we're going by ace combat rules, it must have been closer to like the 1900s, or like 1900 or the 1890s rather. Because for us, putting guns on an aircraft was actually illegal. It was like completely banned until 1911, which is pretty interesting.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I found out this weekend.
The Wright brothers, do they have the same name as the popcorn guys? The Orville Redenbacher or whatever?
No, yes. It's the talking pig and the popcorn guy because it's Wilbur and Orville.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's also the same way I remember it. You're right.
All right, talking pig and the popcorn guy. See, you get
Yeah,
this
exactly.
one, patrons.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or it's just like, imagine this is the same thing, but like if whatever Wilbur takes off and then Orville's got popcorn in the microwave for 12 seconds, like it wouldn't even be ready when he got fucking down, right?
Yeah.
Just like, hey, make a bag for when I get back. And it's just a bunch of like room temperature hard kernels, just like you weren't gone long enough.
Microwaves aren't even invented yet. Like,
okay, so they invented the microwave and then the aircraft. Obviously.
Yeah. I heard someone when they invented the microwave, the way they figured it out is it was like really intense radio waves somewhere where they were, and they had to do maintenance or something, so they were there, and as they left, the chocolate bar in their back pocket was melted, and they're like, how did this thing melt so quick? And then they figured out if you just blast a bunch of waves in a really tight area, then it can cook stuff. So
yeah, they all noticed that the chocolate bar had melted, and like, wow, I can't believe nobody noticed that all the hair on the guy's leg behind his pocket had also fallen off.
Yeah. The one guy
No
with
safety standards whatsoever.
a metal spoon with him in his hand, just bzz, bzz, bzz.
Yeah. I never did that. I always wanted to, but I was afraid.
Did it by accident.
Like my parents
as a kid.
put the fear of God in me. I've never put metal in the microwave, but I've always wondered what it looked like.
It's just a bunch of sparks, and I feel like it's not that dangerous unless you leave it in for a long. Like, no one at home try this.
Yeah, we give you a lot of dangerous suggestions. This one don't do.
I've done it, but I've done it multiple times. Like when I was young, it's like with a single
Like
mother.
negligence?
There's a lot of times where I just cook my own meal or whatever, right? And then I was like, oh, I'll heat up some leftovers, and exactly, just forgot, just being an idiot kid, and left a spoon in a bowl.
Yeah. So yeah, normal history. Putting forks and spoons in the microwave, illegal in 1911, and also putting guns on an airplane. So airplanes in 1911 were still like, no, this is a gentleman's game.
Yeah.
And it is for recon only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they hadn't cooped up all the microwaves into the microwave yet. They were out in the atmosphere. So if you had metal up there, it was real bad. It started sparking like a Power Rangers fucking machine.
Well, I think there was like that British airplane, something Camel, I think it's like the name of the aircraft is something Camel, and it was like made of fabric, and it was like shellacked to make it hard.
Oh,
So like even obviously the engine was made of metal, and like the prop probably was, or whatever the fucking propeller's made out of.
actual flying carpet. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got whatever Aladdin like steps off the veranda when he's talking to Princess Jasmine.
Yeah,
She's just like looks over the balcony like he's on a biplane. Just like, scares the shit out of her.
it looks like an old like school carpet, just like shellacked around a fuselage. Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's the same pattern as the rug, right?
yeah.
It's pretty good. Where was I here? Right. Right. Anyway, so aircraft, no guns, frowned upon by the gentlemen. However, within the first year of the First World War in 1914, recon aircraft had a very basic bombing system. One of the problems with the bombing system in World War One, obviously, is the fact that bombs are fucking heavy, and the aircraft aren't really that strong to carry up something like that. So a lot of the times, it would be just like a guy holding a mortar shell, and he would just like drop it, basically.
A lot of I made shepherd's pie this weekend. A lot of the railroads in Canada were helped build by some Chinese folks, and they would take nitroglycerin into the rocks, but we would send basically Chinese folks to blow shit up, but it was so dangerous, nitroglycerin, that sometimes if you just like tripped over your foot on the way or something, you would blow one of the workers up. And we got very nice pies, but did very awful things to people who came here to get
Okay, yeah, just done. Requires context, as we've talked about it on the show. In French, shepherd's pie is called pâté chinois, which is Chinese pie.
Yeah.
And it was because it was made by Chinese people who were laying track on the railroads.
That's right, yeah.
That was not just a bizarre side of the Chinese.
Yeah, shepherd's pie is, what is it? It's beef, corn, and mashed potatoes layered up casserole style in the oven kind of thing.
Yeah, I haven't made one in a minute, but it is one of my favorite things on the planet. I hated it as a kid for some reason. I think it's just the way my stepmom made it. I just didn't like it. But for me, yeah, some ground meat, not necessarily beef, that's preferred, corn, and then on top of the potatoes, I'll usually put a little bit of cheese and paprika.
Yeah. I hit it with a bit of Parmesan and pepper this time, and
there we go. Yeah. Got the white people spices.
Yeah, exactly. And I got some in the freezer. Yeah.
Yeah. So back in Strange Reel, the man credited with creating the Belkan Air Force was named Franklin Goldnitz. And despite the size between countries, the victors of the Osean War, for some reason, is unknown. However, to this day, the Belkan Air Force is still referred to as Knights of the Sky. So Lore Boy's Cannon, writing, and the newspaper were invented after the airplane in the Ace Combat universe. Because the fact that, to this day, no one knows who won a war between two countries where the Air Force was invented is ridiculous.
I mean, I feel like there's got to be wars like that in our history too, where like both sides said they won, but they didn't actually.
Like probably, like
Yeah.
Like people didn't really say that like the U.S. lost the Vietnam War until afterwards because they had a shitty retreat. Same with the war in Afghanistan. That's also a loss. But like, what do people say about it? I suppose it's just like, but like. Straight up, people in other places fucking know what happened in those wars, whereas this one in canon, like nobody knows who won. They just somehow covered it up entirely.
Yeah. A little known fact is the U.S. used to see who would do better in aerial combat. They would get dogs of different sizes and put them in the floor above, and have them fight to the death, and that's where the term dogfighting comes from. Actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
It's very true and real. Where does dogfighting come from?
I don't know.
Why would it be dog?
Maybe pull up the clip, the etymology.
Yeah.
So for the Osean War, it skips basically straight to the 20th century here. In the earliest 20th century, and then like straight to the 80s, basically. Sorry, fell over my words there. So in the Strange World timeline, the 80s, we still have a Cold War. It is like probably just like the one that we had here, and maybe even never ended, which some people could say about the Cold War in our universe never really ended. The Strange Real Cold War was similarly based around claiming that you could do like a sick ollie, and then if another country pulled up a nice half pipe, you'd be like, nah, man, I can't actually do it. Like, It's all about bluffing. basically.
Dogfighting, not that interesting, by the way. It comes from Middle English, dog fitting, which mean a fight among or between dogs. And then in the 1880s, just mean to riotous brawl. And then leading up to World War One, they just put it aside. Like, I don't even know why they would use that. But, anyways,
Yeah, I don't know.
it's a intense one-on-one, I guess. I don't know. I really don't enjoy flight dog fighting games. Like, I've played them in VR. I've played them in real.
Oh yeah.
Like third person and stuff. I'm not very good at them. I never pick up the airplanes in Battlefield, for example. But...
Yeah, I've been playing Battlefield 1, but I didn't particularly like the tank levels, and have since skipped the biplane level entirely. I haven't played that war story yet with the biplane.
Oh, I like the one with the tank where you're trying to shoot, but it jams or whatever. Like you're trying to load up the tank to get the final shot off as you're... It's been so long. But I remember it jamming up and being like, oh, that hasn't happened in a video game before. That's kind of scary.
Maybe they got rid of that? Because I literally played that this weekend. I played that mission, and I don't recall it jamming at all.
It's been years for me. Maybe it's a different part where it jams then. Maybe it's like one of the sniper missions.
It might have been, or maybe even like one of the cutscenes, because I know that, like, what's her name? Big Bess is the name of the tank.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to, like, take care of her for the whole mission. She dies in the last mission.
Yeah, very sad.
The guy, like, the grumpy Scotsman who like abandons you, and then, like, basically because the missions aren't that long, like, he's just like, no, I'm getting the fuck out of here, and like you finish the mission, it's like 20 minutes later he comes back and saves you from a German. It's just like,
yeah,
dude, what the fuck, you had to change your heart already? Like, thanks, I guess. Dick. Now, seemingly between the war in the early 1900s up until the Cold War, there is no documented conflict. But for some reason, there is still a Cold War going on in the Strange Real timeline where people are still making nuclear weapons for some reason.
Uh-oh.
I don't know why they'd be doing this without an active war going on. Like, obviously, you know, there were conflicts on Earth. Like, and then of course the nuclear weapons were dropped in the Second World War, but like the research had begun prior to that.
Right.
Nothing happened for like 70 years apparently, and they were just like, well, I mean, we could just like try and figure out how to kill. Like, what if we had to kill everybody on the planet?
Yeah.
Hear me out.
I mean, that's a good thing to look up. I think in plane fighting land. Let's add some nukes to plane fighting land. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, these guys weren't like soft-handed pussies whoever made putting guns on planes illegal, like our nerd bureaucrats, right? So they probably were just like they probably invented the plane to get guns in the air,
right?
Prior, opposed to like for any other purpose, right?
To get the microwaves out of the air, so they could put the guns in the air. Got it.
Of course, yeah. So they could harvest that and pop their popcorn.
Yes, got it.
So while everybody was responsibly developing and testing nuclear weapons, Admiral Leonov of the Yuktobanian Navy started construction of something called an arsenal ship, and eventually stealth submarines capable of carrying hundreds of long-range missiles. Yuktobania is a very funny name for a fake country, because it just reminds me of like the one line of dialogue I remember from Star Wars, which is "Yuck it up, fuzzball," when it's like Han Solo is talking shit to...
Yeah. Laugh it up, fuzzball. Yeah, that's
is it laugh it up?
I think it's laugh it up, or maybe it's yuck it up. I remember a guy in school who would quote the movies a lot. I think he used to say laugh it up.
I've seen. I think that's the first one. I've seen that movie a single time, and I do like the older ones enough.
Keep the change, you filthy animal. Rats or snakes? Why'd it have to be snakes?
That's also my favorite line from Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah. Whenever Han Solo goes to the Temple of Doom,
and he says, "Get off my plane" as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had enough of these.
All the great.
There's a good moment in Indiana Jones where he's like, "Oops, forgot your ticket," and then just like throws a Nazi out the plane window, which is it's great. It's all these one-liners.
Yeah, I love. I love. I mean, I don't really like Temple of Doom that much, but Raiders of the Lost Ark and the. Is it The Last Crusade? I can't remember the title of a single fucking movie right now.
I think it might be The Last Crusade. What's the
Indiana Jones?
Yeah, the Burning Crusade. And Illidan's there.
Yeah, Indiana Jones. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, back in Indiana Jones Classic, actually, Indiana Jones retail got too.
Oh yeah,
it got too easy.
they added aliens as a playable race, and nobody liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll be happy to know that the real world Arsenal ship allegedly does not exist and was only ever a concept developed by the U.S. Navy. Due to a small crew, the ship was intended to be remotely controlled by a Boeing E-3 Sentry airplane, which was first put into service in 1977. This is a real airplane. It's just a big... It looks like a passenger plane. It's made by Boeing, but it has this giant fucking disc on the back of it, which is like a communication tower.
Whoa, cool. And then the next version they put so you could put 6 discs in and you wouldn't have to change it on the go. You could listen to all 6 communication discs.
Yeah, exactly. And now I actually can remotely control a warship from a phone in my pocket.
Yeah.
And the industry for the Boeing the Sentry airplane is completely crashed at this
Yeah. Which war criminal's asking for the aux cable? Yeah.
Speaking of war criminals,
Yeah.
the Arsenal ship ran into financial issues during its development because Congress canceled some of the funding. I find this really hard to believe. Like I saw this like very real fact on Wikipedia, which obviously could never be edited by anybody from the government, right?
Of course not.
Yeah. So we'll get into more of the weapons development here after the break. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for listening to that ad break. So, without the Wikipedia powers of our real world bitch Congress, the Yuktobanian Navy created the, I don't know how to pronounce this, either the Skinfaxi or the Shinfaxi, I'm not sure how this is pronounced, which was an arsenal submarine, which they completed in 1991. The ship would remain in service until 2010, along with its sister ship, the Hrinfaxi. And these two are both named after the horses who pulled the chariots of the Nordic gods of day and night, respectively.
Oh.
The Hrimfaxi was the younger, hotter sister and required less crew than the Shinfaxi.
One of them old chariots, like Ben-Hur chariots, right? Like with the 2 wheels on the back and the guy holding the front.
Yeah, opposed to our modern chariots that have like keyless entry and a touchscreen.
Yeah. Yeah. The modern chariot, the horseless chariot, it's just that thing that the kids ride around on, like the 2 wheels on the ground. It's like the Segway without the handle, you know?
Yeah, the hoverboard, as people call it.
I saw this kid get on one and slowly start going in circles, and then she lost control and was just spinning like so fast.
Like for real or on the internet?
Oh, on the internet. It was great. Yeah. It was great.
I saw a kid texting on a hoverboard in real life when I was driving somewhere this weekend, and I was like, this kid deserves to get hit and break both his legs. Like what? Like his parents deserve that, because like how irresponsible let your child, I guess, one, have a fucking cell phone by the look of the age of him, and then just like buzz around on 2 wheels with no helmet and not looking at the road.
Yeah.
Not to be like boomer moment or anything like that, but like what the fuck?
I've done plenty of dumb stuff in my youth. I didn't have that technology back then, but we figured out a way. I'd be like, hey, Cameron, my little brother, I'd be like, look, no hands. And I put my like scooter like wheels like under my gut basically and stuck my hands out like Rose from the Titanic. And then hit a rock and just like smash my face on a curb. Like, yeah.
I mean, I've gotten like hurt on a bike, but like, I guess I couldn't text and bike and never have. I'm not particularly good at biking. Like I bike to the metro every day when I go to work, and it's just like I can't even like check if a car is behind me without like losing my balance.
Oh really? Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I have a lot of hours on the old bike. But...
Yeah, me too. I used to bike everywhere, like when I was young, and then I don't know. You whatever. Move to the city, it makes you soft. That's the problem.
You really have to look too, because like the end of that bike path when you get downtown, it's like just it's bordering a busy street. Like once you get to like Peel area, like people are turning in and out. There's like restaurants. There's like just people crossing the street willy nilly. It's a great way to get hit. If you'd like to get hit, bike downtown Montreal.
Yeah, exactly. If you're texting on your hoverboard, the best place to get hit by a car, downtown Montreal.
Yeah.
My bike has a rear view mirror. Like it has a mirror. The problem is if you position it, the ball joint that holds it in is too loose, and I haven't figured out how to tighten it yet because the bolt is at its maximum.
Okay.
So you hit like one bump and it gets shaken out of position. So it's fucking useless.
Yeah.
And there's speed bumps on the way down to the bike path, and it's like what Montreal roads. You'd think we had a war. Like they're so bad.
Yeah. Something corruption, something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of. If you guys want to see how much construction we have, look up like a map of Montreal construction in the summer, and our whole island is just covered with those orange cones. Basically,
yeah. It's pretty notorious. Like everybody says their city has the worst construction, but like even on like Canada-wide surveys, Montreal usually comes out as like
I've heard
the worst.
It's a way to launder money. Like they'll be like, okay, we have this workstation set up. We've got 4 guys on the scene or whatever, and these guys don't exist. So they have this construction set up with no one fucking there, which we've seen a million times, and they just are paying people who don't exist to get the money clean. But anyways, Montreal.
There's a show on Netflix about it where they do a dramatized version. If you guys want to Google it yourself, it's called the report that like exposed all this corruption.
It's called the Long Road Home. It's called
it's a Charbonneau Commission.
The Bumpy Ride. It's called
I got nothing.
Detour.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll reach out to Netflix. I can start helping them name their documentaries.
Yeah. Well, they're canceling all their good stuff, so we can start making. We can just start pumping out garbage. They can make a Netflix thing about this.
Yep.
Oh my god, we can do a horror film set entirely within a Discord chat.
Oh, that's great. And everybody has to like watch a shared YouTube video before they're allowed to go home, like the Dahmer.
Yeah, and then it gets all glitchy, and then we all like kill ourselves with like home appliances and shit.
Oh, there is a horror movie where
there is. I know. I can't remember the title of
it.
I
watched the whole thing, and it's all in a Skype call.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm talking about. Because like the quality of my camera right now in low light looks like a bad horror movie camera, right?
Yeah. I do remember this. Yeah.
Okay. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of the weapons and aircraft in Ace Combat are based on real-world concepts, or in some cases, like kind of a sexed-up version of a real thing. Like we do have very cool supersonic aircraft, like the Blackbird. Whereas the one in Ace Combat is like there is the Blackbird, but then they made like a cooler and a more anime Blackbird, basically. So it's got like sharper edges and no cockpit window because it's all cameras on the outside, shit like that.
Okay, cool.
Like a Titan in Titanfall. There's no windows, and it's got like the camera on the outside. You got the screens.
Nice.
Something like that. Or like the Caliburn, the fastest car in Cyberpunk 2077 also has no windows. It's got the screens on the inside that turn on when you get in.
Cool. I remember I sent this to you, and this sounds like something that could be in Ace Combat. I think I sent it to you. There's a guy who's skydiving, but someone edited, instead of the earth below, just him skydiving into a giant pair of anime boobies.
You didn't? I would love to see that.
Okay, I can send that to you. I got it saved somewhere.
Hilarious.
But I feel like that could happen in Ace Combat so far, from what I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely Japanese enough.
Okay.
For something like that.
Cool.
So in response to the Arsenal ship, our old friends in Osea began to build an anti-missile defense system, eventually developing the SOLG, S-O-L-G, which is short for Strategic Orbital Linear Gun.
Oh, sorry. I'm Instagramming on the job.
Oh my god.
I sent you what you need, though.
See, I just got your notification, but my watch is on vibrate because I am a fucking professional. Baby.
Yeah. We're 2 out of 3 here. So, you know what?
True,
yeah, I gotta just fill the void.
Cat's away. Mice will play. It's all good.
Yeah.
The Strategic Orbital Linear Gun is based on a alleged concept weapon, which is the greenest weapon of mass destruction. This is based on the kinetic bombardment, which is... Where am I here? Right. The whole thing is quite simple. It functions like a man-made meteor, basically.
Yeah,
it just drops... Exactly. It drops a very dense tungsten rod and just uses Earth's gravity to propel it straight into its target. There's no waste, there's no radiation, there's no fallout.
That's like the God of War episode. Not God of War. What's that thing we were playing? Guns of War, Gears of War.
Gears of War is the Hammer of Dawn. That's a laser.
That's a laser.
It's just called the Hammer of Dawn. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Guns of War.
Took me a while to get there, but we got there. There's Guns of Icarus.
You and I have had the problem tonight where it's just like we cannot remember the title of a single thing that we have interacted with.
No. Yeah.
It's just one of the Star Wars is what's the third Indiana Jones called?
Yeah. Exactly.
Guns of War. Good
I
Luck
don't.
Icarus. I had a digital copy of that game
It's
that
fun.
is gone for some fucking reason. It's
It's
just very weird. Like,
ride a plane. Well, you got a captain who's usually our friend Bobby. I like to be the
yeah,
gunner.
you pilot a Zeppelin, right?
Yeah, yeah, I would
Yeah,
be
it's
the
cool.
gunner, and Ethan would be the engineer. And I would like the long range, like lobbing bombs, basically. And you put
Okay.
incendiaries on them, and, and Bobby would do some type of like sweeping move and have like a window of like 15 seconds just to unload on someone's balloon. Then once you
Pretty cool.
pop their balloon, they start to like go lower. And then you have aerial advantage, which anyone who plays Ace Combat knows. Once you got the high ground, you're gonna win that dogfight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you haven't watched Top Gun Maverick, you should. It's great. I've definitely talked about that before.
Yeah.
So the kinetic bombardment, the idea came from a man named Jerry Purnell, who after working at Boeing became a sci-fi author,
Okay.
obviously, because he
Okay.
was like, Boeing doesn't appreciate the work that I'm doing here, where we can drop rods from space. So he just started writing sci-fi novels. I'll find someone who can appreciate me, Mr. President.
Yeah, for real.
The system. So this is the real one here. The kinetic bombardment would eventually become known as smart rocks, and this was this was the second space station based bad idea that was presented to Ronald Reagan that he was looking into during the Cold War. The first bad idea involved nuclear X-rays.
Oh my god.
So yeah, yeah.
What? Oh.
This
So
is all just to shoot down Soviet missiles, basically. So people were just like, "Mr. Reagan, we've got a couple of crazy ideas." One of them was for with laser beams, and smart rocks, which is the one that we're going to talk about a bit here, were supposed to be heat-seeking projectiles fired from low orbit that would damage and destroy Soviet nukes as they were taking off, so that they couldn't like prime or make it off the continent. This in theory would cause less collateral damage and cost less fuel than a conventional anti-missile system.
Okay. I think I could see
Right.
it. I could see it. Smart Rock sounds like it could be like a vitamin or something. Like, you got Pop Rocks, you got Smart Rocks. Instead of taking your multivitamin every day, you take your Smart Rock, you know?
Yeah, I guess it does. What's Alex Jones has Alpha Brain or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
I'm not sure, yeah.
Where like his harder vitamins would be like, you gotta take your smart rocks.
Yeah.
Um, and like, oh, I guess it's funny enough. So you got the smart rocks for men, sold at Infowars. On Goop, they would take the second name for smart rocks because it eventually evolved into Brilliant Pebbles. So you've
Oh,
got the his and hers of the anti-missile
very
system
nice.
that they were talking about in the 80s.
That's a British cereal.
Oh, Brilliant Pebbles.
Yeah, with milk,
Yeah, of
please.
course.
Yeah. Uh, in WoW,
Um,
this British lady is in one of the add-ons. So like, if you play the game, and it's like the Rain of Fire, so you have to move out of the fire. But this lady goes, "Rain of Fire, watch your feet." And every time I hear her a lot now, and I've heard "watch your feet" so many times it's turned into "wash your feet."
for luck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So wash your feet with soap and water, something like that. Anyone who plays WoW, you know this British lady. Anyways,
Yeah, so it seems as though I love how this real thing presented to a real president is like dumber than the laser beam in the anime Jet game. The intent behind Brilliant Pebbles, I suppose, was to saturate the atmosphere above the USSR with like kinetic rocks basically, or like kinetic weapons that would be able to shoot missiles out of the air, and that it would be able to seek and destroy multiple Soviet nukes. Because the pebbles themselves don't explode; they're just like supposed to like damage the outside, so it peels apart while it's flying. If you want to open the second spoiler image here, this is allegedly a real picture that was presented to Ronald Reagan as how this was supposed to work. What you'll see is a bad picture of the Earth and a cartoon explosion shooting 3 lasers at a Soviet rocket.
it looks like Star Fox 64 graphics.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, it was the 80s, right? Like Reagan was president in
Yeah.
the 80s, but like this is like, Mr. President, I've got $1 million idea for you. Okay.
wow.
Here's how we're gonna keep the Kremlin
Well,
like out of our
Earth's kind of curved in this one too, so they knew that in the 80s.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Because I feel like more people in the 80s knew that than they do in the 2020s.
Like currently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What am I looking at here, officer? Well, Mr. President, this is our round Earth and our brilliant Pebble missile defense system. Oh, round Earth, you say? Well, this will never work. Lord Boys canon, and Ronald Reagan thought the Earth was flat.
Yeah.
Um,
Isn't Lord of the Rings canon the Earth is actually flat for them?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it
I
is.
think it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Like the real one.
Anyway, Bill Clinton, God bless his nut-busting heart, concluded that covering the USSR and during his presidency, the Russian Federation's skies in laser-guided kinetic rocks would be too expensive, and he actually shut the program down.
Oh.
Now, this one makes sense. I don't for one second believe that the U.S. Congress would not fund an unmanned battleship filled with missiles, but I do believe that they would not fund filling the skies above Russia with floating rocks.
Oh, I'm drinking to that one. Magic rocks, by the way.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, good enough.
It's been a while.
Bottoms up, comrade.
Yeah.
So there is some direct crossover here before Strange Reel and Normal Reel. The reference image I showed you was at first called Project Excalibur. However, in Ace Combat, the anti-missile laser defense system called Project Excalibur was land-based and not space-based. So there is an AMS system in Ace Combat called Project Excalibur. It's on the ground.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And
Also, I know we were joking about it earlier. Israel has the Iron Dome, which is like the most advanced missile defense system on the planet or something like that. And I don't know if that uses other rockets or some other way of shooting rockets out of the sky.
that sounds right. The only rocket defenses I've seen so far are just other rockets to shoot those rockets, but
Yeah, well, I mean that's why the kinetic AMS is kind of a good idea, right? They use it in BattleTech. In MechWarrior, the AMS, if you equip one on your battle mech, is just this little like rotating. It looks like a pill. This little rotating thing on the shoulder of your mech, and it just like rotates around and shoots like bullets at rockets. Basically.
Oh, cool.
And
yeah.
it has its own ammunition as well. So if you get hit with too many rockets, like your AMS can run out of ammo. And at least in the more hardcore MechWarriors, like the newest one, it's just pretty neat.
In Risk of Rain 2, Captain has that mechanic. He has like a flying drone next to him and just takes out projectiles like on a cooldown.
Yeah.
It's really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do that. Your little drone buddy in Near Automata, you can do that as well. You can shoot projectiles with this little laser.
Cool.
Excuse me. So the Cold War in universe really seems to have like, not that it didn't destabilize geopolitics in the real world, but like the Cold War in Ace Combat like destabilized geopolitics to an insane degree. Each game after the Cold War takes place like basically like 2-3 years after the previous one, and there is just some new massive scale conflict going on.
Cool.
Like, they can't go 5 fucking years without having a civil war or a coup or just, like, getting into a fight with one of their neighbors, which is, like, I understand why they gave them all European names, because that's kind of how Europe looked like until the First World War, where it's just, like, kings and lords all just, like, trying to kill each other constantly because someone was rude to their child bride at, like, a wedding function or something like that, right? Like,
well, Ace Combat World, like, as soon as you turn 16, you get keys to a plane that can shoot stuff instead of like a car. No one uses cars. Everyone just uses planes. You've got like just young rambunctious kids, you know, with their sleeves rolled up and cigarette packs sticking out of them, just driving their planes around.
You've got like the greasers and their hot rod biplanes.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, come on, we're going down to the quarry to smoke and drink underage. Get in, losers.
Yeah, get in. Like a rickety plane takes off. Lands in a quarry. Yeah.
Can you imagine like Ferris Bueller's Day Off where they've got the biplane running in the garage and it just like flies crashes through the window? Try to take the mileage off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's running backwards, like, you know, the smoke test is just coming from the back of the plane instead of the front.
Yeah. So a lot of this political bickering sadly meant the international cooperation was at an all-time low when a 1 mile wide asteroid called Ulysses 1994 F03 was detected by astronomer Jonathan Pyack in 1994. It's named after the year. He and his team working at Sealsbridge University in Usea calculated that the asteroid would pass close to the Earth in 1999, and if it impacted, would cause severe devastation. For the record, the asteroid that likely killed the dinosaurs was about 6 times bigger than this one, so we weren't looking at like a block out the sun event. But a 1 mile wide asteroid it has a lot of fucking kinetic energy behind it.
Yeah, it'd fuck up your day at the quarry for sure.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man, you'd never, you and your best gal would never get in that, like, whatever, a quick hand job in the backseat of your biplane. Just because it's so fucking windy. You've got like regular looking 1950s teens, right?
Yeah.
Means they are greasers, clearly played by people who are 25.
Yeah.
And you've got like them, like they're like necking. It's like, oh come on, baby, just this one time.
Except they're just fucking yelling. Have you ever been in a small plane? Because it's so. No, that's
fucking
what
I have been. I've been in a single engine aircraft, but I was in a Cessna, which has a roof, where biplanes don't. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Where they're like sitting in the back and like.
Yeah, exactly. It's so loud. Hey, baby, you look so good tonight. What? It's just like it would be, and everybody has to listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody has to listen.
Do you think there'd be like, because there's like the badass greaser who's got like the convertible? Yeah, like would it be like the amount of wings? Do you think like the poor kid, the hero of the story, whatever, like the Kevin Bacon? Because I've never seen Grease.
It's the opposite. But so John Travolta, or no, he's the bad guy.
John Travolta is the main guy in Grease. I know that.
Yeah, and he's kind of a bad boy though. He's one of the whatever birds that he's got on. He's part of the gang. Okay.
Yeah. That's a film I have not seen. Like I can remember the title, of course, unlike films that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But like you've got like you got like the one big seat, but of course you'd still need the pilot to be there. So you're like trying to get a hand job in the backseat of your biplane while like one of your boys is like he's got like just the one control stick in the front.
Yeah, exactly. Just like lifts his hand and puts the rear view mirror pointing upwards.
Hey Joey, hold it steady. I'm trying to get lucky. It's like
it's okay, baby. You don't have to move the hand. The plane's moving enough.
The turbulence will do it for you. Yeah. You're still technically a virgin if the turbulence does it for you.
That sounds like something they do in the 50s.
Yo, that is a real thing. I think
it's soaking for Mormons.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah.
Well aware. Yeah.
Just getting soaked in your biplane, dude. That's fucking cool.
And you get your friend to jump on the bed next to you, so it's not your movement. Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, he's he's the Joey driving the plane or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, no offense to our actual Joey on the server, obviously.
Oh, do we have one?
Right. We do, yeah. I'm not gonna dox him, but yeah.
Okay, cool.
And maybe we've got two, but I know of one.
Okay.
So yeah, a few years after the discovery of soaking in a biplane, in 1990, the discovery of the asteroid in 1994, the eggheads all made the announcement in 1996 that like, hey, listen, there might be an asteroid impact. We need to do something about it. Obviously, in Strange Real, politics are not great, so everyone fucking panicked immediately. Mostly in Usea and Ania, the continents that were predicted to suffer the most damage. Predictably, this caused a refugee crisis as people started leaving these continents en masse for newly built shelter cities. And as we know in real life, nothing brings countries together like a refugee crisis. We just start cooperating so hard when other people are in need, don't we?
Yeah, totally. Oh man, Quebec's it. Anyways. I don't like Quebec very much anymore. I gotta get out of here.
Neither. Yeah. We've all we've all pointed our biplanes like straight at the border at this point. I just need a little bit more money.
Yeah.
Well, now sign up to Patreon to get Jamie and Pete Quebecois refugees to Ontario.
Well, no one's having kids anymore, so who's going to pay for the Social Security by the time we retire, man? Well, what it should be is because they should bring in more immigrants who are having more kids, so we have a future, but they don't want immigrants here because they're French, want to preserve their culture. I don't get it.
Yeah, I love how, whatever, not to complain about Quebec and the double standard that Justin Trudeau has for rude things people say in the States and actual things politicians do in Canada, where he's just like, no, that's fine. I'll make all my policies based on a thing I saw on Fox. Yeah, basically.
What did that French guy we have say? Is like, oh, well, like we can't treat French equally with other cultures because they aren't equal.
He said some cultures are better than. Who said that? The premier, the governor of
Yeah,
Quebec said that.
Legault, yeah.
Yeah, all quiet from our politicians over in Ottawa.
Uh,
They certainly wouldn't save us from a fucking asteroid. That's for goddamn sure.
yeah.
Right. So, refugee crisis on the Usayan and Aenean continents. Usayan countries began construction of the Stonehenge railgun, whose purpose was obviously to shoot Ulysses out of the sky to either destroy it or change its trajectory so it could harmlessly land inside someone else's borders, presumably.
That's what Stonehenge is for. It's just a bunch of like variations of ways to set up a gun to shoot at the sky. You just lean it against all of those big circular things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's just a bunch of Neolithic bipods.
Yeah.
For a guy to shoot a big bow and arrow, like a big fucking slingshot to knock the sun out of the sky because it's been threatening him or something.
That would be fun to
Whatever.
build a real big slingshot or a trebuchet. We're gonna another time. We'll do it another time.
Didn't we want like a pig trebuchet in the last episode or something?
Yeah, we recently wanted a catapult or a trebuchet. I can't remember which one, but
Either way,
yeah.
Patreon.com/the Lore Boys if you want to fund
How much wood?
ridiculous projects.
Yeah. How much wood would a chuck?
Slovakia also started to build a railgun. However, it was never completed. As the meteor drew closer, it was discovered that it was probably hollow, meaning that if they shot it, it would break up into thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of smaller parts, devastating a much wider area. So they would turn one mass, basically turning a bullet into a shotgun spread.
Yep.
So they were just like
That's why it's illegal to hunt birds, because their bones are hollow and they'll just turn into shrapnel and fall to the ground.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you shoot a duck and it just like breaks up in the air and like showers down and like you could get killed by with duck bone splinters.
Yep.
Basically.
Yep. It's dangerous.
God.
Birds aren't real.
So, no, yeah, basic information recording device. That's what it means.
It's crazy that this shit's like actually on the news and taken seriously these days. Like, I don't know when the world just became crazy, but everything's so insane now.
I think the world has always been this stupid. It is the internet. It was social media, dude.
Yeah.
Now we just get to hear the inner thoughts of every single fucking idiot on the street.
Yeah.
And real news is depressing, so they got to report on something.
Thanks to the internet, I can stop mid-podcast and pull something up on my phone and show a skydiver skydiving into anime titties and send it to my friend down the road. Yeah. Instantly.
Send it to me.
Yeah.
So Usea made some modifications to the gun, however, only to really cover themselves. This left the continent of Aenea completely defenseless. Protests broke out since people realized their leaders prepared nothing for themselves, and they intended entirely to rely on another country's railgun. This is, I guess, post-pandemic now, very realistic, where it's just like, well, no, we were just going to rely on that other country to help us, and when they decided not to, political unrest, yay.
Yeah.
So Lord Alberto Lawrence suggested that the government should at least evacuate the areas most likely to be destroyed, which they actually did. A facility capable of housing 200,000 people was built under the capital city of Grace Maria, which is another goofy-ass name for the file.
Okay. That sounds Christian.
Grace Maria? Yeah, I don't know what the USA analog is in Strange Reel. I could not figure it out because all the countries sound the same.
Right.
And there's no, like, Bob Johnson.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's off-brand USA.
One of my clients reached out today to be like, they sent me a Forbes article that says, now with the pandemic and working from home, there's a new trend of people working multiple jobs and not telling the other job that they're working for them. So to collect like multiple salaries or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And he sent me an email that came from another James Miller, just a neighboring company. It's just, my name's way too common, so like a Bob Johnson, there's just too many of us. We blend in.
You're the second James Miller I've met.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised.
I went to high school with one. Yeah.
There's one that lives in Montreal I found on Facebook who looks like me, but he's taller, has a better beard. Everything me, but just like tuned up a little bit, you know?
I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously, we're not going to do this now. Send me the picture, because it might be the guy I went to school with, because he also lives in Montreal. He's a little bit taller and has... The last time I saw him, we got called to jury duty at the same time. So I didn't see him... I didn't see him since we graduated high school in 2008. Then like 2015, I'm at the fucking Montreal courthouse, and it's like, "Yo, Pete," and I'm like, "Oh fuck, James." It's literally been 7 years. Both called for jury duty.
I added him on Facebook just to keep tabs on him.
Make sure make sure he's not getting too successful, because then you have to fucking kill him.
Yeah, there's a musician named Jamie Miller right here.
I got a DM on Twitter from a different Peter O'Donoghue, who was like a soccer player in Ireland. He was like, and all he said was, "You got the good handle," because I don't have any. Because on Twitter, my personal one that I do not use, follow it if you want, is at Pete O'Donoghue. And I got a DM from this guy. He's like, "Man, you got the good handle." I was like, "Yeah, sorry, buddy." And I haven't logged into my personal Twitter in years, so maybe he's just like, "I'll give you €1,000,000 so I can have the good Twitter." Maybe he's trying to buy it off me, right?
I couldn't find him. All I found was like a lovely black couple who got married a couple weeks ago. Named
Well, that's a much successful James Miller in that case.
Yeah, he's looking good, man. He's got
a hot ring.
Look at that watch too. Sheesh.
Let me see.
It's in.
I'm not much of a watch guy because I've got the Apple Watch, but I really like his wedding ring.
Yeah.
And his wife is pretty. Yep. Congratulations to James Miller.
Yeah. Another
his wife T.
Another James Miller. It's gonna be tough for me to live up to, but okay.
Yeah, you got a lot of people to kill. Yeah. A lot of guys to knock off here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, so they built a facility to protect 200,000 people under Grace Maria. Hopefully, in that case, right? They're just like, okay, so we've got our bunker. Usei has covered their own asses with the railgun. Let's just hope geopolitics can remain stable for a few years so we can get this whole fucking asteroid situation sorted. Okay? I'm just going to go over here and sign a military pact between Osea and Usea, right? Yeah. And everything should be fine.
Yeah.
To this military pact, some political extremists were like, hey, well, we don't like the fact you're signing a military pact with this other country we don't like. How about a coup d'etat? So they took control of the political extremists, the rebels, took control of the anti-asteroid defense system, which I think this kicks off Ace Combat 2, if I remember correctly. And because the rebels had taken over a massive railgun, the Usayan government had to destroy it.
Uh-oh.
Basically, because, like, you know, like they could just fire it at a city or something like that, and it's easier to just destroy the whole fucking thing than try and get the rebels out of it.
Yeah. What's the rock paper for railgun? Does train win? Does train beat railgun because train runs on rails?
Given the nature of the game, it's probably jet.
Okay, jet. All right, cool.
I'd assume. Yeah. Yep. I did not watch the trench run of destroying the Stonehenge railgun, but that would be my guess would be the jet. So the asteroid Ulysses would enter Earth's atmosphere in July of 1999 and break apart into hundreds of thousands of smaller pieces for 5 straight days and kill 500,000 people.
Oh boy. Why didn't they just shoot it with the planes?
I mean, frankly, it's probably going too fast.
Okay.
I think like asteroid impacts are measured in like kilometers per second.
Right.
So even if your plane is going like twice the speed of sound, like frankly, your bullets probably aren't fast enough to hit it. Whoa. In reality, right? And a missile just says slower than that. If that'd be my guess.
Dang.
Yeah.
Faster than bullets. Sheesh.
Roll. Can the monorail outrun the Flash? You betcha. Can Superman outrun the Flash? Duh, yeah, sure. Yeah, so with the coup d'etat, these rebels really cucked the libs by taking over their anti-meteor railgun system.
Nice.
Some of the craters were left as is, and some of them like refilled, nature retook them, and some of them were actually studied and in kind of like an ironic recycling way. One was turned into a space elevator. The space elevator base is in the bottom of the crater and it goes all the way up. I watched some gameplay of it last night. Cool. And I think Ace Combat 7 has a mission where you're either trying to destroy or defend. I don't know what the objective of the fucking mission is. Either destroy or defend the space elevator itself. Yeah, so the instability of the strange real universe would obviously get only worse from here and even go into the future. Currently, the furthest into the future game is set in 2040. And this is the one where this is Ace Combat 3. It's actually set in what's called the classic cyberpunk trope of an intercorporate war. So If you thought the government in Strange World was bad, wait till you hear about the corporations. But maybe that is a story for another time. Okay. So I have been your pilot, getting a hand job in the back of a biplane, Peter O'Donoghue.
I've been keeping this thing in the air and try not to make eye contact, James Miller.
You can find me at Loreboys Podcast on Instagram, which is or on the Discord, which is linked below. You can check out a short demo of my comic at Squared Idea, which is also linked below. And as far as merch goes, there is some available, and merch is also linked. Actually, above. We're going to put that one at the top of the screen, just to fuck you up.
Yep, hop into Discord. Tell us what you think. You get to request stuff in there. You can tell us. Was it worse without Ethan? Was it better without Ethan? Should we tell Ethan to take paternity leave for life? I think we all miss him. He said he misses us.
Quebec labor laws say that we can't fire someone for having a baby.
No, not yet.
We are not incorporated.
It's true. It's true. We can just all we have to do is prove he does a bad job, and then we can get rid of him. So
yeah,
that won't be so hard. Yeah, and as always, there's a Patreon, and if you want to support us, we've got a lot of great supporters now. But if you don't trust the Patreon, we do have Loreboys.
Patreon's linked below, by the way. Patreon.com/theloreboys.
That gives you access to bonus content. We shoot like an extra half hour every week and put that in there. I think we did 35 minutes this week, so some more stuff to listen to.
Yeah, there's, I think at this point, probably... What is there, like 15 hours of bonus content up right now, because we have over 30 bonus audios. They introduced Patreon video, which is a thing that we would love to do if we can figure out a good way to record it and get it up on time.
If we do Patreon video, we might as well just do all video, because then we can start getting onto the Instagram Reels and the TikToks and all those kids.
Yeah,
stuffs.
Dude. Ian Finance's fucking Instagram Reels are so fucking funny. That guy kills me.
Yeah. So, as always, if you don't trust Patreon, we do have Loreboys Prime. And what we need are someone to man the rearview mirrors for us in our cars. We will fly around in the plane with your best girl. You get to choose her based on her gams, because it's the 50s.
Of course, yeah.
And we need one person to drive the plane and one person to tilt the mirrors so no one has to make eye contact, and to scout out the best turbulence ahead for even quicker rides. But that's been it for us. We'll see you the next time.
Yeah, I think that would constitute a Loreboys -1
combat.
Oh.
And I was like, you don't even know where that comes from. You're like 60, you know, like... I was like,
we have to de-radicalize the boomers.
Yeah, I'm like...
That's so funny.
Yeah, you gotta do 4chan 101 before you're allowed to use all these